Hello class. In our last video, we updated our application to insert new rows into our table. And in this video, we're going to allow update of the rows that are in the table. Here is an update syntax example. In this example, we use the update keyword and then specify our table name. Then we use the required keyword set, followed by a column name, the equal sign, and the value that we want to update that column to. Then when we use an update command, we're going to use a parameter called the where clause. The where clause specifies which actual row we want to use. So in this example, we only want to update student with ID 1234 and set their last name equal to this new string here. So we're going to update our application to allow update of our records. So let's see where we are sitting in our application. We're in our data access module, which is just a great place. So in our data access module, we can copy our insert member. Let's copy that. Use that method as a template and paste it. And then I'm going to make this word insert update. And I'll go ahead and update the name of my member instance that was passed to me. Now, before we do anything with our actual syntax, let's create a comment with the syntax that we're going to require. We're going to have the keyword update, followed by our table name, then the keyword set. Then after that, we're going to have a column name equals whatever value there. And since they're all strings, they need to be enclosed in those single quotes. Then we would have a comma, our next column name, equal whatever data we want. And this should be their last name, not the ID. So no closing parenthesis. And finally, at the end, we are going to need our closing semicolon. So this should be what our syntax ends up looking like. Our string, keyword update, member table, set, last name equal whatever value, comma, first name equal whatever value, comma, phone number equal whatever value. We're not going to update the ID because the ID is our unique key, our key field into the database, and so we normally do not allow update of that. So let's fix this. Update member table, set space. Okay, I don't want the ID. Now I want it to be single quote, then our update member last name that was passed to us. Then closing single quote, comma, space, finally, first name, same thing, finally, phone number equal to and then to close it all, you want a closing single quote, semicolon. Now let me delete this to see how we're looking. And we want a semicolon to close out our string. So now we're setting our SQL string equal to update member table, set space last name equal to single quote, the last name value, closing single quote, comma, space, first name, single quote, first name, closing single quote, comma, space, phone number, single quote, phone number, closing single quote, semicolon. Looks good. Now when we issue our command, we're going to be using our update command. And that's what we'll pass to our command executor. That should be all we need to do. Comments, huh? Now, as we look at our update command, the where clause was something that we needed to specify to say which member row we want to update. So before we close our statement, we need to add that. And we're going to do this a little bit special way. So we're going to say where ID equals, and then we're going to use an @ sign to indicate that this is a parameter, and then name our parameter. And a parameter is a value that can be replaced at runtime so that if somebody, selects something, we can change it dynamically. Let's add that into our SQL. So I have our closing of our phone number. Let's put a space after that closing single quote, and then we'll add in our where clause. Okay, so we're saying where the ID is the ID that has been specified. So how do we specify that? Well, we can do that within our SQL command object. After we create our command object, we can specify that we want to add a parameter. We want to add with value, and the parameter that we want is @ID, and the value we want to replace it with is our member ID. Now that should specify that we only want to update that one row. We're going to update every single column because we don't need to worry about which one was actually changed. We can change whatever we like. We got our parameters all set. Great. Now let's go to our member class. And in our member class, we had left our update member method as a to-do item. We're ready now. We'll call our data access dot update member method, passing this instance of our member object as the item to update. Now we need to add that into our form. So I'm sitting here conveniently at my OK button click, which is exactly where I want to be. Because if the selected item is -1, I want to do an add, right? But if it's not, then I want to do an update. get my example here. So in our update, we already have an instance of a member, or we will. Right now we don't, but we're going to fix it to where we do. So we're going to say that member is going to be something that we're going to update with these text box values. So our last name will update in case they typed a new one. Our first name will update in case they typed a new one. Our phone number will update in case they typed a new one. So that will give us all those new values from the form into this member object. Then we can call our member class. Our member class isn't going to let us call that thing directly, is it? So we can't use the static calling where we say the class name. We have to use an instance call where we say, for this a member, I want you to update the member. A little bit different. Notice how it's implemented a little bit differently. Start getting really clear on those kinds of things. You'll be able to look at other people's code much easier. Okay, so that sets us up to where we're ready to display that message. Now I'm going to add a couple of lines here after our if statement. No matter whether we have a add going on here or an update, we're going to redo our list. So let's say we want to do our enable disable method, and we want to disable everything because we just got done with whatever we had enabled things for. We want to do our text box clear to get rid of all of that data that they typed in, and then we want to refill our list so that we are showing that revised member in our list. So what do we have left? Well, I said that we were going to have a member already instantiated here. How is that going to happen? We haven't done anything for that. Well, that's going to happen whenever somebody clicks on a row in our list here. So let's double click this member here. If somebody clicks on an item in our list, we want to make that into a member that we're looking at. So first of all, we're going to set our class level field, which item was selected, that we've been using so far as -1 to say that nothing was selected. Well, now we do have something selected. So let's grab that selected index and save it to say this is the one that was selected. We're going to create our member object by saying that we want to cast as a member our list box items. And which item do we want? Well, we want the one that's pointed to by that selected item variable that we just set. So we're going to grab that one out of the list, make it back into a member instance, and then we're going to update our form to display that data. Feel like we do a lot of the same thing, huh? Fun stuff to get everything to work. Like a puzzle, right? Come up with your own methodology. So now all of our text boxes are populated with the data from this member. Our global variable about our selected index is populated with the data from which one was selected. So now, if somebody were to get into an update mode and click OK, we'd be all set. So how do they get into update mode? Let's copy our add button. And I'm going to make this into a really awesome view for update. And I'm going to name this button BTN Update. And of course, you know from our previous class that we could use a toolbar and be much more glamorous here. But we just want to get our database access in here for this application. It's taking us long enough, right? Okay, so for our update button, let's double click on that to implement a method. What did we do when they clicked add? Let's take a look. When they clicked add, we said, oh, we want to enable all of those items. We want to clear the text. We don't want to do that, right? Because we want to update what is there. And we wanted to set the focus on the ID. Okay. So for our new method, we want to do our enable disable to open up everything the way we want. We want to set our focus on our text box first name. And I'm actually going to disable our text box ID. So I'm going to kind of override our enable disable method and say we can't do that because our ID can't be changed. Perfect. Okay, so what we've got, a little bit of jumping around there. Sorry about that. Let's go. Okay, I'm going to load some data. We'll click on one. Oh, and there's our information. That's great. Did the button get enabled? I'm not sure. It shouldn't have yet, right? So now I got to click update. The button gets enabled. Our text box is all open the way we want. Our cursor sitting at the first name. I'll make it Belinda. Okay. Oh my goodness, and look, it updated our list. So awesome. Everything perfect on our update. Let's take a look at that code again. First of all, in our form, we simply added a button called BTN Update. And in the click event for that button, all we had to do was call our enable disable, set the focus on the first name, and disable the ID field because we don't want an update. In our OK button click, we added a little bit more. We added an else clause so that if a member were displaying on the screen, we update that member's information. We call our member update method, issue our message. We disable all of our text box fields again, clear them, and reload the items to show our updated member record. No other things had to be changed to implement that in our form. In our data access method, we created an update member method. We used SQL code to update all of the fields or columns in our selected row, including the where clause, so that we would only update the row with the given ID. We used that ID as a parameter, even though kind of in our application we probably could have built that into our string, couldn't we? But we wanted to see how that parameter worked. So if we had some sort of drop-down list where we let the user choose that ID or something, maybe it would be where we really needed to implement this, but it's super great knowledge. And then we executed our update command. In our member class, we simply added the interface between the two, that if somebody uses the update member method of our class, we call the data access update member method for this instance of our class. So that takes care of our update. Thank you.